All the money's in money. There's a Shawnism for you for today. What am I doing right now in Chinese? Fei Cheng Hao. Lucky.
Love you. Bye.
Stairs whenever you can. All right, board meeting today. Got to get amped, got to get stoked. Power pose, legs apart, standing big, hands in the air, get big. 2 minutes of this raises your testosterone, lowers your cortisol, makes you feel powerful before speaking or anything. We need some music in here and some lights. It's empty, I'm early. But these guys are here. How you doing? Good morning.
Good morning.
What's going on, homies? Big E.
Businesses, obviously very strong last week. AOV up 68% over last year.
To thank Brian Choi for recognizing me last week. Who behind the scenes has done a lot of seemingly small but incredibly helpful things that have accumulated and snowballed into making a big impact. To Mike K.
We've faced challenges over, what, 10, 12 years now, Shawn? Something like that? So
I've lost count, bro.
it's many arguments, many love makeup sessions, and it's been a great relationship. And it's been
Whoa. All the money's in money. There's a Shawnism for you for today. Man, today got away from me. It's like 3 p.m. right now, 3:30. I got to head into the city. I'm teaching tonight my once a week class at Parsons, top design school in Manhattan. Get to teach this cool leadership course. But first I'm having dinner with our banker, the lead banker on this Reg A+ crowd finance IPO we're working towards. If you haven't followed this story, the skinny of it is LOVESAC is looking to raise significant funds through a new method of crowd finance called Regulation A+, where we, in essence, are able to inform our loyal customers and fans and whatnot that we're raising money to grow the company and they can participate if they'd like. This was heretofore not possible because of securities laws. And you've got to read the disclosure at the end of this video because I'm talking about it, but this is not a solicitation to take orders. But if you love LOVESAC and are interested in furthering our future, you can participate in theory in this Regulation A+ crowd finance that will actually proceed, if everything goes as planned, an IPO to the NASDAQ or to the NYSE, a full IPO where LOVESAC will be a public company at the end of it. So your stock would be liquid and tradable, and it's going to be a very exciting process, and we'll be the first company of note to do this, to not just, I mean, there's been a number of companies that have raised money through this Reg A+ crowd finance mechanism, but then the investors are kind of stuck in these companies with no way to sell their stock or, you know, see a return. And so we'll be the first to get listed on one of the national exchanges, especially of a company of our size and, you know, notoriety. So it's pretty exciting. It's going to be groundbreaking. It's going to generate a lot of press, and it's going to be happening, you know, over the next 6 months to a year. So follow closely the vlog, my social media. I'll be making updates. The time will be coming soon where we'll be letting the public know the specifics on the deal. And it'll be very exciting, but I'm going to meet with that banker. This is the same guy who broke his scapula skiing with us out in Sundance, punctured a lung, broke a rib. What a mess. And I'm going to have dinner with he and a good friend of mine, good connector friend of mine, talking about putting this deal together and getting to the next level. Because if I've learned anything after all these years of raising money and growing a company, it is that all the money's in money. But I still make beanbags and couches. Should have gone into finance. New York City every week, teaching this class at Parsons School of Design. It's awesome. Design, Innovation, and Leadership. We're 3 weeks in. Today we're talking about design and innovation, how innovation is not creativity. Innovation is creativity plus execution. In other words, bringing creative ideas to market. Execution is 99%. To quote our friend Thomas Edison, probably greatest innovator of all time, innovation is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. And bringing things to market, look at me, right? We invented Sactionals. Sactionals is the best invention for couches ever, and we still haven't succeeded in telling the world about it. We sell a lot of them, but not nearly enough, and so execution is everything, and we're all struggling. It'll be a great class, but just wanted to chime in for a minute on this fundraising that I mentioned earlier. So let me explain. I haven't explained it yet. Reg A+, Regulation A+, dates back to the 2012 Jobs Act that was actually driven forward by Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama in an attempt to create legislation that would encourage smaller to mid-sized businesses to raise capital, growth capital, more freely, more easily, with less regulation. And so, through the Regulation A+ mechanism, companies can solicit, probably the wrong word, companies can reach out to their fan base, right? In the case of LOVESAC, we have a big fan base, really supportive, passionate fan base, maybe through email, and say, hey, we'd like to raise money to grow, here's our plan, would you like to invest? And these can be unaccredited investors, which is interesting because in the past that was illegal, right? An accredited investor is someone who makes more than $200,000 a year or has a net worth of more than $1 million. And so in theory, they are somewhat sophisticated and not apt to, blow their money on crackpot ideas. But now, through the Reg A+ mechanism, companies can reach out to their unaccredited investors, unaccredited fan base, and they can become investors. Now, those companies who've been successful, Elio Motors raised $17 million on their own, just through taking themselves through this process. Recently, VidAngel, a video editing service online that allows people to edit out, swear words and stuff like that out of videos, raised $10 million from their crowd. And some of those companies, the problem is people invest in them and then they just own a piece of this company and they have no way to monetize their investment. Other times those companies list themselves, get listed on what's called the over-the-counter exchange, OTC market. The real downside of the OTC market is that it's kind of looked down upon in some circles of investment, and especially by institutional investors. So serious banks, hedge funds, that kind of thing can't put their money or support behind OTC listed companies. In our case, we are working toward this Reg A+ crowdfund, and that allows people like, anyone, any of you watching this video, to choose to put in an intent to invest through a web portal that we'll set up and say, hey, I'd like to, put $1,000 into LOVESAC. We will provide a plan and explain how we're going to use the funds to grow, etc. And then at some point we will take actual orders, and those people have the chance to actually fund or not fund at that point, right? And we have a unique situation because what we are going to do is make this crowdfunded offering that allows the crowd to get in the place where the banks used to get. So this is basically pre-IPO, right? In other words, you're coming in on day zero of what is going to turn into an IPO. At the tail end of this funding, we intend to explore taking it to one of the major exchanges and launching a full initial public offering. And so in the past, only the banks could get in on a deal like this before an initial public offering. And by the way, I couldn't even be talking about it. It had to be completely confidential because it's illegal through the SEC to drive a stock price through insider information. But through the Reg A Plus mechanism, it's meant to be a very public and crowd-sourced form of funding. So it's very interesting, very innovative, and if we succeed in a full IPO, then those people who invest through the crowd finance will own a piece of what will be a publicly traded company, fully liquid on the NYSE or NASDAQ. And this will be groundbreaking because when we succeed, presuming we do, other companies will now have a path to do the same thing. So smaller to mid-sized companies that have a passionate fan base will be able to raise money and avoid the private equity route if they want. In our case, we have an underwriter, a bank that's holding our hand just like you would have on a regular way IPO. And the process is faster and easier, and in some ways less expensive for companies to do a Reg A Plus listing than the regular way IPOs, but it's capped at 50 million is the most you can raise. So it's meant for smaller companies, and it's going to be very interesting to see how this goes down. It could be historic, it could be groundbreaking in the world of finance and growth equity. So pay attention closely to what LOVESAC does over the next year through my vlog, through my social media, etc. And it should be interesting. And read the disclosure at the end of this video because I have to put it there. This is not a solicitation or an offering, but simply an expression of intent to do these things. All right, man.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Getting better.
Lead banker on our fundraising. The last time we saw this guy, he was in a sling at the hospital, broken scapula, punctured lung, broken rib.
2 broken ribs.
Turns out it's 2
2
broken
weeks,
ribs.
2 broken ribs.
Mr. Mark Elenowitz.
See you soon.
You want to build a company? Find this guy. Capstone on the Shawnism. All the money's in money. If you're not yet decided on a career path or a future, you want to make money, big money, go into finance. I didn't even know what finance was when I was in college. I thought it was like accounting. Bankers, man. All the money's in money. You want to do something great for the world? Do almost anything else. You know, private equity, venture capital, angel investing, stock trading, day trading, hedge funding. All the money's in money. Of course, bankers like Mr. Elenowitz are rare form. Good guys helping small to medium-sized companies build themselves, create jobs, etc. Different kind of animal, but for the most part, he'll still probably make some good money. But definitely, you know, doing good things in the world too. Cool this building is. Professor Nelson. The new school, university, home of Parsons School of Design. Amazing institution. What's going on?
It's gonna get harder, so I just wanna make sure that you
This school thing's getting super weird.
So your eyes closed. And every time like one person talks on top of the other, like saying like 2 at the same time, for example, you need to start over.
What's up, LOVESAC?
I paid them to do. All right, ladies. So you're in design, innovation, and leadership. Come in tight. Yeah, there we go.
We're here.
What was your biggest takeaway from tonight? Anything interesting?
Process is
You too?
key.
The whole thing on the ambition.
What about ambition?
Ambition, you should know your ambition, what your ambition
Do
is.
you know your ambition? Do you know what you want to? You know what you want to be when you grow up?
Not right now, no.
How old are you?
26.
Oh no! Don't worry, I'm
not much
a lot
time
older
left.
than that. I'm still figuring it out. What about you?
Let's see. Execution is the key to innovation.
Do you believe that, or did you just learn that?
I just learned it, but I believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. And?
Um.
Wait, what? Wait, was I supposed to be paying attention?
No, I know it.
You got this.
No, mine is that like your startup is not going to be a startup forever. So you got to know when your company stops being a startup and actually becomes the company. You got to know what you're doing, you know what you're supposed to do in order to grow it. So
Very good. Smart people here at the new school. We love them.